Like football, basketball, you're betting 10, 20, 50, 100. The friendly wager with the homie. This is the podcast for you. Never claim to be an industry professional. Just trying to get you a quick flip off of the sports ting. No long talking, no lies, no limits. This is No Cap Bets. Today is October 10th, and this is the first episode of the No Cap Recap, where we take a look at last week's games, the week ahead in the NFL, some of the early lines, and of course, the top storylines around the league. This episode has been brought to you by Best Stamp. Line shopping for the most valuable odds is all we do over here. Any game I place a wager on, I go there first. I decide which books got the best payout. I track my bet, and it's off to the races. Download the Bet Stamp app now. Use the promo code NOCAPBETS. Once again, that is Bet Stamp with the promo code NOCAPBETS. So let's get right to it. Thursday night, I feel terrible for these Denver fans. Final score, Indianapolis Colts 12, Denver Broncos 9. Indianapolis covers the 3.5. They try to go for it on fourth again. Colts get the cover, and someone needs to get fired in Denver. I don't know if that's McAdoo. I don't know if that's Nathaniel Hackett. One of the homies told me in the comments the other day, Russ is cooking with chicken and NyQuil. And these poor Denver fans, they're booing everything. They're booing an incompletion. They're booing missed field goals. They're just booing. They're dressing up in the jerseys to come to the stadium and boo. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. The New York Giants in London, England shocked the entire league with Green Bay as 9.5-point favorites. Not only do they cover, but they win it outright. Giants take it in an absolute shocker. They're 4-1 on the season, outscored the Packers 14-2 in the fourth quarter. Either Green Bay just doesn't play good, or the Giants are really real. If you hear from Brian Daboll, the Giants head coach, he'll tell you that nobody took them seriously. And I mean, a part of me has to agree with that. Moving forward, we had the Sunday games, and let's just go ahead and start with Buffalo versus Pittsburgh. Some of the guys actually had it on our last episode. Pittsburgh to cover 14. They like the whole rookie quarterback angle, but unfortunately, this was not the team to play. This is like hanging out with your friend, and you go over to his crib. He's got Madden. He bought it like 2 months ago, and you haven't played Madden in years. That's what this final score. It was 31-3 at the half, but you can't like reset the game or like back the controller out of his hand or nothing like that. Ends up being 38-3. Buffalo with the easy cover and a clear Super Bowl favorite at this point. Another massive blowout was the New England Patriots, covered 3 points against the Detroit Lions. Now, I read an article on Deadspin calling for Campbell to be fired. Detroit's putting up a lot of points, but they're giving up a lot of points as well. I think one of the only teams since like the 1960s in the Super Bowl era to put up over 140 points and give up like 140 points. So they got to figure something out. In that article, they basically said Jim Campbell's got to get fired because you fired Jim Caldwell years ago with a 9-7 record. You had Matt Patricia just come in there and pretty much look stupid for a couple seasons. So where's that energy for Dan Campbell? I personally like Dan Campbell. You guys let me know what you think in the comments, but I'm riding with the guy. The New York Jets, we took them on the last episode, right? These New York teams are balling out. I had a feeling with Waddle and Hill, Ginger with their little injuries, hamstring and groin, that you weren't going to see such a dynamic offense. Teddy Bridgewater gets hurt in the middle of the game, so they got to go to a third stringer, and that pretty much summed that up. So the Giants not only cover their 3.5, but they win the game 40-17. And another game we got to talk about, we locked this up, is the Atlanta Falcons. They are now 5-0 ATS. They are a cash cow. I don't know if y'all are missing out, but you got to take in all of these episodes because we are riding dirty with the Falcons. Dirty Birds. I don't know if y'all saw what I did there. Tampa Bay wins the game 21-15 as 10-point favorites, but a controversial call, 3rd and 5, maybe about 3-4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Brady gets sacked, and they call it roughing the passer. That was Atlanta's only chance to basically come back and win the game. Tampa Bay runs out the clock. They win it by 6. Atlanta gets the cover, but we'll be talking a little bit more about that game after our break. We told you he was going to eat some curry goat. New Orleans, 5.5-point favorites. They get the cover against the Seattle Seahawks, man. I still love Geno Smith. They're up 32-31 with 5 minutes to go, and Taysom Hill just gets speedy, seals the deal, blows the whole cover. It's a little bit of a bad beat, if you ask me, because if you're on the Seattle side, like, I don't blame you. But it was just a defensive breakdown. They end up getting the 2-point conversion, winning it by 7, 39-32 final score. Jacksonville, you guys know how I feel about that. I quickly hopped on the wave of Trevor Lawrence, and I quickly hopped right the F off. Houston Texans get the outright win, 13-6. Shout out to Lovie Smith. Division dogs, man. You got to take a look at those, you know. So Jacksonville goes in as 7-point favorites. They only put up 6 points. I don't know. This team looks a little bit too inconsistent for me to rock with this year. We'll check out how they look on the early lines. We had Tennessee as 1-point favorites, cover against the Washington Commanders. I mean, they're looking like they're going to get back to playoff form. This is one of those middle tier teams, middle of the pack, that'll eventually start upsetting some of the major favorites. So keep an eye out for them, especially in a dog spot or a short favorite. I feel very confident in Tennessee. And you guys know how I feel about Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings, but I didn't feel good. If you guys listened to the last episode, that 7.5, that little hook right there, that left a lot of room open for the Bears. I'm used to my boys having an early lead. That's what I'm used to. And they usually end up blowing it up. So with that being said, hey, it was a lock for me with the Chicago Bears, and they end up making the cover 7.5. What is going on in Cleveland? They pretty much gave up a game to the Chargers. That game was 30-28. Even the Chargers weren't necessarily happy with the play call. Keenan Allen, who wasn't even playing in the game, tweeted while the game was going on, WTF are we doing? I don't blame them. I genuinely don't. I think there's something that's really wrong over there. They should be a lot better than what they were. I didn't necessarily love Cleveland as a short underdog, but maybe something to look at next week. And this game genuinely broke my heart. This was the San Francisco 49ers up against the Carolina Panthers. I don't really have anything to say. Matt Rule fired. Baker hurt his ankle, apparently. But none of them matter. Matt Rule is 11-27 as a starter. So, yeah, he had to go. And Baker is not real to me. Like, he's just not a good quarterback. And it's Christian McCaffrey's team. So I can't imagine how he feels watching this happen. It was 6.5, that line. Carolina didn't even stand a chance. Speaking of not standing a chance, these Cowboys, 4-1 on the year, they're real. They beat the Super Bowl champs. Atlanta was a 5.5-point favorite, but I don't think people are paying attention to the Dallas defense right now. They are balling out. Cooper Kupp balling out. Sorry, Cooper Rush balling out. Cooper Kupp not balling out. And the Dallas Cowboys cover 5.5, final score 22-10. Love those Cardinals, especially as a dog, specifically on the road. But it was 20-17. The Philadelphia Eagles, looks like they got their first test of the year. I mean, they were up 20-10, pretty comfortable. Arizona trying to make a comeback. They end up covering the 7 points and losing by a field goal. And how about those Ravens? They needed one, especially after last week's controversy around the fourth down decision to not take the points, and you just gave one. You alley-ooped one to Buffalo. They don't cover the 3.5, but they end up getting the win 19-17. That was a Sunday nighter. And of course, you guys saw last night, we don't take the Chiefs as a favorite ever. So when you get a chance to see a divisional dog, you got to take it. KC wins the game 30-29. Really weird fourth down, 4th and 1. Carr airs it out with a chance to at least, win the game with a field goal or get in a field goal range. And two receivers run into each other, Hunter Renfrew and Devonte Adams. So that was really weird. But I know why you guys are here. We're going to take a chance, take a look at some of these early lines, and bring you some of the top storylines right after the break. You're listening to No Cap Bets. Check out the Body Right podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Bless up. Jeans look too tight, but that shit just right. And we're back. You're listening to No Cap Bets, official No Cap Bets on Instagram. Let's get right to it. A lot of little headlines we got in the NFL. Let's start with roughing the passer, okay? I do not agree with where these refs are taking their stances nowadays. One of the most controversial, and I would say like yielded the most strong and upset reaction, was this roughing the passer call late in the fourth quarter of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Atlanta Falcons game. It's about 3rd and 5 from the 47-yard line. Brady gets sacked by Grady Jarrett, who's like a elite defender in the league, by the way. Penalty gets issued for roughing the passer. Extends the drive. Brady basically gets first down on the penalty, and then, they just run the clock out, right? Did the refs get this wrong? 1,000%. Why they got it wrong? I'm just going to point to, and prayers up for Tua Tagovailoa, who had 2 brain injuries in 1 week. Now refs are scared. They don't know what is a legal hit from what ain't, even though they've got a 187-page rule book. They even cut to the analyst panel with Steve Young, Booker, I forget who else was on the panel. They're replaying the call and they're laughing at it. And then they had a ref, those guys who are like half refs, half analysts or whatever. They had that ref come on and say, yeah, I don't agree with that call. Basically, you can't hit the guy low, which Grady Jarrett didn't. You can't use excessive force. You can't land on top of the guy. So you're supposed to grab him by the waist and sling him. You don't roll on top of him. That'll get you a flag. So when you think about it like that, he did everything the refs are asking to protect the quarterback. But I think no one wants to get involved in a situation where somebody has a head injury. And we're talking about the GOAT now. You mess up his marriage is already messed up. We don't want to mess up his brain. And shout out to the GOAT, by the way. I think he's taken harder hits than that in his whole career. But that's win snaps a 2-game losing streak for the Bucs. They face the Steelers next week. We're going to talk a little bit about that. The ref now has to address the media because everybody's like, bro, how did you even justify that call? And here's what he had to say. What I had was the defender grab the quarterback while he was still in the pocket and unnecessarily throwing him to the ground. What? Are you supposed to hug him? That is what I was making my decision based upon. They asked Brady about the play as well, and he simply responded, I don't throw the flags. He knew he got away with one. He definitely did. One person who's not going to get away with one was after the Raiders lost to the Chiefs Monday night. Devonte Adams is more than likely going to face discipline, potentially a suspension. He's walking off the field at Arrowhead toward the tunnel, and there's a camera guy that jumps in front of him, and he just pushes the man down. Like, I don't know if he's gassed up off of the Draymond video, you know what I mean? But like, you just can't run up on people like that. So earlier on, I want to say like early this morning, right around midnight, Devonte took to Twitter to apologize for it. He wanted to say sorry because it was frustration in the middle of that guy walking right up to him. Like, that's what the cameraman's supposed to do. They got to get your reaction. You did run into another receiver on the final play of the game. So a cameraman's going to be in your face. They want to get your reaction. But he said, he felt horrible immediately. That is not him. And, he hopes that that cameraman, that poor guy who's probably going to sue like crazy, what I'm saying? Get your bag, cameraman, Man, I'm thinking I got in the wrong profession. You just want to run up on frustrated athletes, you know what I'm saying? Secure that bag. Next story, Matt Rule out as a head coach for the Carolina Panthers. Thank the heavens, man. You know who I feel the worst for? I feel the worst for DJ Moore. I feel the worst for Christian McCaffrey and guys that don't have anything to do with this losing. It's Baker Mayfield and it's Matt Rule, and they both suck, and they're both out this week. So I hope that they could turn it around. I don't know who the interim coach is. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments, but I feel like the Carolina Panthers have been wronged. This is Christian McCaffrey's team. Baker for 5 weeks tried to make it look like it was his team. He threw picks like he was playing for the other team. And yeah, your coach is going to be the fall guy. So, you know, I did watch a clip of McCaffrey talking about it. He's saying he's pissed because he really liked Matt Rule and he wished he could have got it done for him. But when you got a quarterback like Faker, Baker, whatever we want to call him, that's just not going to get you really far. You know, it's not going to get you far. And unfortunately, this dude's out. But shout out to the college team. You know how it goes. A lot of college teams will more than likely take this guy. And those are your top storylines from this week. Let's have a look at the early lines for this week's NFL slate. You got Chicago trying to figure it out. This might be an opportunity for them to get a win. Chicago is playing the Washington Commanders. This line is at 1 currently. The Indianapolis Colts, fresh off of their win against the Denver Broncos, they're going to have a division matchup against 1.5-point favorites, by the way, against Jacksonville, who just, I don't get it. They put up 6 points in the last 2 weeks. So somebody got to help me out with them, man. But I am not going to touch this one. Cleveland, I'm actually quite surprised. They're started out as 2.5-point favorites against New England Patriots. Now, maybe what we saw was the Lions' mediocrity, but at the same time, I mean, can we give New England a little bit of credit here? I get it. They got the third string quarterback, but this is a system, and that's Bill Belichick over there. I don't understand how they managed to be dogs. Maybe it's because Cleveland's at home, but we don't like Cleveland as a home favorite. So that should give you a hint as to where I'm going with that. We got Green Bay trying to turn it around against the Jets, who look amazing right now. This line's at 7, probably could have been 9.5, but it looks like the Packers don't even cover anything above a touchdown. So Green Bay Packers up against another New York team. I don't know. I took the Jets last week, might stay away from them, but looks pretty good. You know, this started at 6.5. I think it opened at 6.5. Now it's moved up to 7. We'll see where it's at by Friday when we give you the next episode. The Niners are on the road off of their 37-15 win up against Carolina. They're going to be playing the Falcons, who have a ton of motivation after, as we mentioned, getting robbed. So San Francisco's 5.5-point favorites. I believe that Atlanta's a better team than Carolina. Carolina got this line at 6.5. So this should be down to like a field goal. And I bet you if that game goes the other way because of that BS call, you might even have Atlanta as a favorite. Okay, maybe not. Maybe as like a short dog, right? That's something that I feel is affecting this line right now. Atlanta Falcons 5-0 ATS, completely undervalued. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers after their blowout. They're at home. They're up against the GOAT. I don't know. You know what, Tomlin? I feel like it's a rebuild year for the Steelers. I think they want Kenny Pickett to go out there, make some mistakes, but he's going to ball till there's 0 on the clock. He got hit really low outside of the pocket up against the Bills, and he just started fighting D linemen. You got to love the heart with this guy, and, you know, I'd like to see him grow to be a star in the AFC North, which is already packed with some stars like Deshaun. Oh, yeah, Deshaun's back. That's another top storyline. Deshaun's back, 11-game suspension, so he can't play, but he's allowed in the facilities. Keep the masseuses away. Find this guy a rub and tug. Let's make the Browns competitive. But yeah, the GOAT, this is an 8-point spread. I don't know if I like Tampa Bay on the road as an away favorite. It seems like they're just happy to get a win these days. Doesn't look like this is the team that blows everybody out, but I probably more than likely will stay away from this one. And then we've got my favorite quarterback, Kirk Cousins, the Minnesota Vikings, 3-point favorites on the road against the Miami Dolphins. Miami, I don't know who they're going to start. Bridgewater got hit last week, so we'll see how that pans out. But I definitely feel it's a little dodgy to take Minnesota Vikings on the road as a favorite. We'll see what this line looks like closer to game day. But as of right now, it's 3 points, and I don't really feel like getting involved. The Bengals round out the 1:00 games. They're on the road against the New Orleans Saints. And look, the Bengals have had some tough losses. It's been a rough season for them nonetheless. But like I said, the jig is up. There's no surprises. Everybody knows what they're up against versus last year where Cincinnati just came and shocked the entire league. This is at 1.5. I think this line is a bit disrespectful to the Bengals. I like them coming off of a heated loss against they really felt like they could have had that game against the Ravens. I knew they weren't going to have it, but they covered. And if they don't turn it around now, week 6, when are they going to turn it around? 4:00 games, we've got the Arizona Cardinals. They're up against the Seattle Seahawks. This line is at 3. I mean, I feel like it could have been 4.5. But I'm not going to count Geno out, especially at home. These guys they're in every game. I mean, you gotta respect what the Seahawks are doing, because for me, when I look at it, I think about where Denver is and where Seattle is. Like, Denver is just garbage. Seattle's kind of garbage, but they're at least playing every game like they're losing by 3. They're winning by 3. They're putting up 45 points. They're putting up 32 points. So this one should be a bar burner. I don't really feel like Arizona should be a road favorite, but in this situation with Seattle not having the greatest season, it makes sense why this line is 3. It's probably a stay away from me, but y'all let me know how you feel about it in the comments. We got the Rams up against the Panthers. Fired their head coach, got rid of Baker. Rams are 10.5-point favorites, but they haven't been looking good in the favorite spot. This feels like easy money, to take the Rams by 10.5, which is exactly why I want to stay away. I don't trust it. But then we got some blockbuster games headed into the evening. First at 4:25, I believe, it's Buffalo up against KC. Now, all you got to do is Google the AFC playoffs last year when these two teams met. Winner went on to play the Bengals, and something like 20 plus points between both teams in the last minute and a half, 148, something like that. This is a game of epic proportions. These teams are probably going to collide again in the playoffs. Buffalo is a 3.5-point favorite. You're giving me the Chiefs as a home dog with revenge. Well, you got Buffalo playing the revenge angle, and Kelsey just came off of a 4-touchdown game. Looks like the Chiefs are trending upward, even though they got the 1-point win. They didn't cover last night. So maybe they got a chance to zigzag it out and cover this one, 3.5. And then you got the Philadelphia Eagles up against the Dallas Cowboys, 4.5. Eagles, unbelievable this year, doing their thing, but so is the Cowboys. This is pivotal to the NFC standings, playoff implications. Not now because it's early, but this game will mean something toward the end of the season. I just got to watch this one because I can't imagine how Jalen Hurts is going to escape this defense. They look ruthless. But at the same time, it's always when you think you should take the Cowboys, it's literally the worst time to take the Cowboys. So I'm going to stick with that lock that I did early on when Cooper Rush had his first start. But right now, I just feel like it's dicier and dicier. 4.5, I feel like that line is respectful, and that's Philadelphia and Dallas. And to end it all off, we've got the Chargers, who are really trying to figure it out. They probably need this game up against the weak-ass Denver Broncos, where someone needs to get fired. Hopefully it happens after this game. But maybe Denver might show up. Chargers are 5-point favorites. Everybody's waiting on Russell to cook. When is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Will it ever happen? I just don't know. But who are your locks this week? Let us know in the comments. Also, subscribe to the channel, join the No Cap Nation, hit the notification bell so you can get all the new content as soon as it drops, and subscribe to the No Cap Bets podcast. Stay all the way tapped in with No Cap Bets. I'm Plus. It's been another episode. Bless up.